हेलो फ्रेंड्स, मैं आपका वेलकम करती हूँ अपने यूट्यूब चैनल पर। सो इन कंटिन्यूशन टू माय अर्लियर वीडियो ऑन रिसर्च, टुडे आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग विथ यू द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द रिसर्च पेपर। आई एम श्योर you all know what a research paper is and the relevance of it. But when we try to start the research paper, we don't know how to start and we are not sure about the elements. Generally, these sections of the research paper or the different elements or the components, it depends upon the journal guidelines and the university with which you are enrolled. But this is the common structure which is almost in every of the research paper. A few of may have a different term or maybe a different name, but generally we will focus on this common research paper structure. So when we talk about abstract, what do you understand by it? It is generally a summary of the complete research paper. Whenever there are call for papers under various conferences or journal, they ask us to submit the abstract. So this is a major problem because if we are not aware that what will be the abstract of the paper, it becomes difficult. So abstract should try to explain your whole paper into few lines. Okay, so generally it depends upon the guidelines. It may be around 150 words or 200 words. An abstract is always really written in italic font. So what I suggest is whenever you are trying to start a paper and you are planning to publish it somewhere, ensure that you have something in mind. And in fact, it will be better if your paper is complete and then you start writing the abstract. Because once we have done with a paper, then only we can summarize it. Now, suppose the call for papers is under sustainability theme. Okay, so and if you're working in any of the area under sustainable business models, you should have something in mind. It should not always start with the abstract, because writing an abstract first and then moving on to the paper is very difficult in comparison to completing a full paper and then focusing on the abstract. So generally, what is abstract? It gives one line about the topic, your research question, then what was your objective and what were your findings. And in some of them, you may state the methods, the research statistical tools and technique used, and you can conclude it with the findings with maybe align with what is the implications, findings, conclusion, or what can be another paper derived from this paper. Okay, that is a future scope of the study. So generally restricted to 200 words. Okay, again, it depends upon the journal you are planning to send your paper and as per the university guidelines. So it is about 150 words on the purpose of the study, the research questions, suggestions, and main findings with the conclusion. Immediately after abstract, you are supposed to write the keywords. Now, what are keywords? They help identify other people to find out your paper. Now, if I'm working in the area of public transport, your keywords, how you are going to search papers on that? Suppose then you can search by public transport, then you can have bus transport, you can have local trains, okay? And suppose you're working in the area of sustainability public bus transport, so your another keyword can be sustainable. Generally, we can restrict ourselves to 5 keywords and they should be alphabetically arranged. Okay, suppose if I'm mentioning about public transport, then public transport, if P alphabet comes first, and another word I'm trying to is write is sustainability transport. So then public transport, then comes sustainable transport. Okay, so in abstract, this all I'm going to explain you in detail also in the coming videos. So as of now, you should know, we should have a summary of the complete paper. Your complete paper may be running into 11-12 pages and around 4,000 words, depends on the limit, and then you need to frame your abstract. Moving on to the second is the introduction. Now, what is introduction? How we write our thesis or maybe a research paper. So it gives you a background of the situation. Okay, then what is the present study going on? And it should always include, along with the rationale of the study, the problem statement, and maybe a few lines about the methodology and what has been derived from the previous studies. Okay, so your introduction should be very catchy and very interesting. Again, if you ask me how many lines or how many paragraphs, it depends upon the word limit. Suppose the word limit is around 4,000, then yes, you can extend one complete A4 size paper of introduction. Okay, so introduction is basically the motivation, the background of the study, why you came to this study and how you are proposing. The introduction should always end with the research question and the research objective. You should not leave your readers guessing what the paper is all about. Nobody has the time to read the entire paper. Maybe if they're reading the introduction part, it should give a hint or it should give a detailed explanation that why we are proposing this study or why there was a need for this study. Okay, so in short, introduction talks about the background. Maybe I'll give you an example. If I'm working in the area of public transport, again, I can give few lines about the transport, then coming to public transport, then coming to public bus transport, then why I'm proposing this study, what was the research gap, and so. Okay, so it should end with your problem statement, with the motivation to propose this study. Then comes your literature review. Now, what is literature review? Till date, how many studies have been completed on this? Which are the literature review sources that I'm going to discuss in my coming videos? Okay, so you are trying to incorporate the previous studies. Okay, what you are trying to find and what makes you propose this study. Now, suppose a research has been conducted using one methodology. So you can propose another methodology. Maybe the research gap was that the studies have always been done in the foreign and developed cities, and the study has never been done in an underdeveloped. Okay, there could be a knowledge gap. Maybe no study has been proposed on it, or maybe there is an evidence gap. There are two people who are working in this area, and both has given, you can say, different findings. So you can try to find out that why whose study is more reliable. Okay, so whenever you study the existing studies, you will come to know what is the gap. How do we find this gap? You can go to the limitations of the paper, the future scope of the studies, which is generally mentioned at the end of the paper. You try to find out this, and then how you can understand that which type of research can be undertaken. Because we should not work in the area which is overworked, or maybe a very new study should not be planned initially. So this is the role of the literature review. Then we have the methodology or the materials and methods. If you're from science background, you know you have different materials and methods. But coming back to the commerce, we generally write the research design. Now under commerce, our studies are proposed under, we have the design. Research design is descriptive. So we are describing the situation. Okay, so you explain the research design. The research design is like a foundation, an architect, okay, or a builder. They propose their project, a building. So the more stronger your foundation is, the better your building will turn out to. So similarly, the better clarity in the research design is going to help. So research design involves various elements such as how long you will take to do the research, or maybe what is your sample size, okay, from how you are going to collect the data, which sampling method, probability, non-probability, which technique, okay, and whom you are going to cover, who is your target audience, okay, the time frame and all is covered in the methodology, materials, and the methods. Then come the results. Okay, results are, of course, after your statistical analysis has been done. Suppose you are using structure equational model, you have developed a model. So you are going to explain. Okay, so results, they present and illustrate the obtained findings. So whatever findings are derived from your own study, that comes a part of the results. Then we have the discussion. It reviews the information in the introduction part, evaluated the gain result or compare with the past. So again, you should go to your introduction. You will come to know that what was the question in your mind and were your findings able to justify them. So that is how whatever results you have got, that you have reported in the results section. But whatever you are trying to give them a meaning, okay, you are trying to give an interpretation to the findings, that becomes your discussion part. Okay, so you can compare with the past study. Suppose I am doing a research which states that online method is better for the students, but it may happen that in your study the results were stating that offline method is better. So you can explain, contrary to the previous studies, my result or this study has proposed, this study was proposed, and what the results are. Okay, so you can say the result goes contrary. So you have to justify. Okay, so this is how you will state your discussion. Then we come on the recommendations. Giving recommendations is a very difficult task, because if you are, suppose you are targeting a government initiative or maybe a government business or so we all know that they also know what is to be done. So recommendations should be generally practical. And if you are giving a better solution which is actually feasible or possible, then you are actually achieving the main goal of research. Okay, so what you can feel. Now suppose if I say one of the mobile application is not running very good. Okay, so what can be the practical solution? But remember, if I'm giving them a recommendation, is it worth? Okay, is it possible by the company or the sector to focus on that recommendation? So ensure that whichever recommendation you are giving is feasible, workable. Okay, and it completely depends upon the result. What was your experience? Then we have the limitations. What were the limitations of the research? We all have some type of limitations, such as we have time constraints, then we have finance constraints. Okay, and now suppose I'm collecting data through online method. So it means I could access people only who were having smartphones. So this can again become a limitation. You were targeting people who were able to understand English. So again, you have not targeted other language people. Okay, so this can be your limitations. Limitations are different from the scope of the study. Okay, now what is scope of the study? My study is restricted. Suppose now you are collecting data from people residing in Mumbai. So it is not a limitation. Okay, you have set a, you can say, a geographical area. So that becomes the scope of the study, and these limitations become the weakness of the research. Okay, so if you are a new reader, suppose you are reading the limitations of a paper given by a research scholar, you can pick up that limitation and you can propose a new study. Okay, then we have the conclusion. You can give the provide final thoughts and summary of the whole work and show the conclusion is going to answer your research question, whether you are able to achieve those findings, okay, the results and the discussion. Okay, so remember the title of the paper, your then objectives, hypothesis, what all they are very much in consonance, they are in alignment. Okay, your title, the objective and the hypothesis, they talk about the same thing. Okay, what happens when we start, we are not aware. So what is introduction or what is objective? So here, where do we fit our objectives? That I'm going to explain you in detail. But generally after the methodology, okay, or maybe after the literature review, you can write your objective. Okay, so objective. Now, if you ask me, objective is essential part. Why? Because this is why we are proposing a research. We intend to find a question. Okay, and hypothesis is, what is the hypothesis? It is a tentative statement which may be proven true or which may be proven false. Okay, so again, depends upon what the research gap was, what is your research question, okay, then what you want to study. So that is, you are going to achieve your objective. Okay, then you can propose your hypothesis. All this I'm going to discuss with you in my coming videos. Then we have acknowledgement or appendix, additional information. You may have tables, you may have graphs, you may have pictures, or maybe you have your questionnaire attached. Okay, so then finally the references. References are very much important. Avoid plagiarism, because what happens? We generally copy from here and there, and we don't know, okay, from where we have given the source. So citation, suppose you are referring somebody's definition, you'll put into the brackets, that is called as in-text citation. So what is citation? What are references, bibliography? I'll help you all with all this in the coming videos. As of now, I just wanted to restrict to the research paper structure. In the coming videos, I'll explain you everything in detail. So today we have completed a basic outline of the research paper. Never start your paper without anything in mind. Understand that this is not only a question of just writing a research paper, but it is a question of your career as well. When are you, especially when you are into teaching field, you know how much importance a publication matters. So here I conclude. So what we have studied till today, abstract is the summary. Introduction should talk about the background of the study, the rationale, a little bit of literature review, and how you have come to this research question, the objective. Literature review is analysis, a critical evaluation, an in-depth review of the existing studies. Then we talk about the methodology, materials, and the methods, the research design, the sampling method, the target audience. Then we have the results, findings. Then we give the discussion part. We are giving meaningful interpretation to the results. Then recommendations, limitations, conclusion, acknowledgements or appendix, and references. Okay, so few parts may remain optional and few parts are always mandatory. So just try to start writing a research paper. Remember, research paper is not an essay. It is not a copy paste. So if you are liking my videos, you find them useful, please share with your friends. Anybody who is interested in research, maybe a student who's planning a black book project for the undergraduate level, or a teacher who is planning to start writing a research paper. So please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, let all of them get benefit. And you can comment me if you want a specific topic. And I'll meet you in the next session. So as of now, take care.